Okay, in this video I'm going over the main card of UFC 314. It was a very exciting card. A lot happened. I did okay on picks. We're going to get into it in this video, starting with Dominic Reyes versus Nikita Krylov. So I went Krylov. I thought he was just going to be better all around, but Dominic Reyes is still slick, and he's still proving that those losses after the Jones fight were flukes and a mindset thing, and I truly believe that now because he looked slick in this fight. And he put Nikita Krylov out in the first round with a slick counter left hand, and it slumped him out cold. And Krylov is no fucking joke. So Dominic Reyes is an actual contender again for the belt. A couple more, and he could probably get up there. And I like his chances a lot more. The Anthony Smith performance is still weird, but he slumped Krylov out cold bad. And you could say what you want about the time off for Krylov and stuff like that. And his situation in general isn't awesome. He lives right on the border of Russia, Ukraine. But Reyes proved that he's elite still and that he has momentum and he's going to make a run for for the fucking belt again, which is awesome for Reyes. I do like Reyes a lot. And yeah, he just looks slick on the feet. Krylov blitzed in and got knocked out. That's pretty much all that happened in that fight. Sick for Reyes. Next, Bryce Mitchell versus Jean Silva. Awesome fight. I went with Jean Silva. I thought he was going to be better on the feet. I thought he was going to look slick. If there was going to be doubts, it was in the grappling. But Jean Silva proved that he's been working on that, and no longer it's no longer a weakness in his game. I don't think you can't. I don't think you can say that anymore. Bryce Mitchell threw everything he had grappling wise at him. Jean Silva stuffed every single takedown Bryce Mitchell had to offer. First round, Bryce Mitchell and Jean both look good on the feet, but Jean Silva obviously looks way more comfortable. Bryce Mitchell's flinching a lot at everything Gene's doing. He's having success and he's being active, but Jean Silva just looks comfortable. Every movement he does is thought out, and he is taunting from the very beginning to the very end. Jean Silva and all the fighting nerds are very special. And Jean Silva, I thought he just did it was very close in the first round striking wise, but Jean Silva did a little bit more and a little bit more drastic. He hit him with a spinning wheel kick in the first. That was pretty big time. And then he also went for a submission attempt and almost got it in the first. So I gave him the first round. The second round starts. Bryce Mitchell gets clipped, dropped bad, gets up. He's now oh fuck. He's full grappling mode from now on, going for every takedown he can try and think of, but there's nothing he can really do. Jean Silva's stuffing them all, taunting, walking him down. Jean Silva's fucking special, and on the feet he is a monster and he's powerful as fuck. Bryce at this point is rattled. He doesn't know really what's going on. Jean's trying to highlight reel KO him like he always does. He's trying to set up spinning elbows and random shit like that. Doesn't end up happening. Bryce shoots in for a takedown and Jean Silva locks in a front choke and submits Bryce Mitchell. Was this the last thing I predicted was for him to submit Bryce Mitchell? That is insane. It's a huge win. It's better that it's a submission. Adds so much more credibility to Jean Silva's game. He's fucking crazy, and I'm very excited to see what he does going forward. And I'm going to make a matchups video for this card, and Jean Silva's going to get a good one after this. All the nerds are just putting on shows. I really hope Carlos Prates beats Ian Gary 2 weekends from now. I really fucking hope. So, next, Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. So this one's fairly simple in terms of momentum. Yair Rodriguez had everything, and Pitbull had really nothing. Yair Rodriguez had everything on the feet. Pitbull couldn't take him down. He got 1 out of 4 takedowns, and Yair even got a takedown. The difference in the striking was very clear from the beginning to the end. Yair Rodriguez was just a lot more active, a lot more dynamic on the feet, and Pitbull couldn't handle the striking on the feet, couldn't handle the range, couldn't handle anything Yair was throwing at him. Patricio has proven that he's not UFC caliber, or at least not star caliber. It was still a fight, but he's not a top 5 featherweight by any means, especially at his age. So I don't trust Patricio Pitbull going forward. I had my doubts for this fight because Yair Rodriguez is a quitter, but he looked good in this fight. He didn't quit at all, and he beat up Patricio Pitbull pretty good and made it look kind of pretty much easy. So Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopez is now fun and probably going to happen next. which is awesome. I like this. But yeah, Yair just pieced him up on the feet. It was how he's gonna win. It's how he did win. And yeah, he looked good doing it. He looked flashy like always. But yeah, more so like we know now that Patricio is not that guy. But yeah, you're good. Next, Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. So I went with Paddy Pimblett, but I thought it was going to be a lot closer than it was. Paddy Pimblett made this look easy. He made this look effortless. Paddy is a monster. He did Chandler dirtier than anybody ever has. With that being said, I think the age has something to do with this whole deal. I think this timeout, I think his last performance against Oliveira, a lot of things are kind of building into Michael Chandler being worn. All the damage he's taken in his career. I think all of this is playing a big part in his career at this point, where Michael's going to start getting worn down. He's definitely, after this, he's going to be even more worn down. But Paddy took advantage of everything that was given to him in this fight, which was a lot. Michael Chandler had a lot of holes. From the very beginning, Michael Chandler's trying to push the pace, but Paddy Pimblett has his number on the feet. He's rangy, striking him way better. Teeps, jabs that were just crisp and rangy, and Michael couldn't handle the range. Even though they're not super far off of height, it looked like Paddy was like 6 inches taller than him. It's weird, Paddy Pimblett's size in comparison to other fighters. But Paddy Pimblett, I thought he clearly won the first round. Michael Chandler there was a lot of grappling exchanges that Michael Chandler decided to go for, but Pimblett never strayed away or anything. He never took any damage, really. He always just got up, and I think he did more on the feet. So I gave Paddy Pimblett the first round. You could make an argument for Chandler for the wrestling, but I hate wrestling being a merit for points when you don't do anything with it. I hate that. So Paddy Pimblett gets the first round for me. Second round begins. Easy Paddy Pimblett round. Just outstriking him on the feet the whole time, hitting slick counters, looking for everything he needs to. He keeps his chin up in the air, but it doesn't matter. Michael Chandler has clipped him a couple times at this point in the round. Michael Chandler has started to kind of find some shots, but Paddy Pimblett's chin holds up, and then Paddy's just more active on the feet, more dynamic. He's teeping, he's hitting mean low kicks the whole fight. He's just doing better. And then a little grappling exchange. Chandler gets Paddy's back, and then he shucks him off, and then Paddy's on top for the rest of the round. Went for a submission attempt and then started raining down punches. And that was the story of the second round and the beginning of the third. It starts, Paddy Pimblett has all the momentum. Michael Chandler's starting to dwindle a little bit. Paddy fucking times a perfect knee on Chandler, which stuns him and cuts him, sends him back. Paddy Pimblett is a fucking shark in the water, and he starts running and jumping, kicking him in the face, really trying to go for the finish. He doesn't quite get it on the feet. Chandler goes for a takedown, I think, again, and Paddy reverses it. Oh, no, Paddy does. Oh, I take that back. Paddy goes for a takedown and absolutely slams Chandler on his head. And then Chandler's bleeding out bad, and Paddy's raining down punches, trying to go for a rear naked choke the whole time, but he's clipping him bad. 12-6 elbows on top, full mount. The ref has to stop it. TKO for Paddy Pimblett in the second round. Or in the third round. This was a 5-round fight. Did not get to the later half. Paddy Pimblett beat Chandler more convincingly than a lot of people have. Very impressive. Didn't think it was going to be that easy. I went with Paddy, but that was pretty special. Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Oliveira have a real contender now in Paddy Pimblett that's going to be coming up, which I'm very excited for. Now the matchup at lightweight is, if Paddy can get past one of these other guys, is Paddy versus Islam. That matchup is funny as fuck, and I would like to see it. So yeah. Next, the main event. Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopez. He did it. Alexander Volkanovski did it. He made it. He's back. Every single thing he did was perfect. Alexander proved why he's the GOAT of featherweight, and that age doesn't really matter. He broke the curse of the above 35 lower weight class people not being able to regain a belt. He proved it wrong by beating Diego Lopez clearly on the feet. Just clearly. He outstruck Diego Lopez. Diego had his moments, but Volk was in control of this fight, the majority of it, and clearly won. Very impressed for Volk. And his chin is not bad. It's still there. How good is Ilia Topuria? That's a big question to ask because he was able to slump Alexander. With that being said, it was short notice. That probably does have a lot to do with it. Or not short notice, but he got knocked out and he came back really quickly. So that has probably a lot to do with it. But that's crazy that Ilia was able to KO him at all because Diego hit him with hard shots and Alexander just kept going. He did not have a problem with it. Also, Volk hit Diego with hard shots. If Diego didn't have a good chin, he would have gotten KO'd, I think. Alexander Volkanovski was hitting shots that were just mean. Like, meaner than usual, at least for me. He was really going for it in this fight in terms of just grinning down. Even when things got close, Volkanovski wasn't like... He was throwing hard. And in the pocket situations, like the clinch stuff, Alexander ended up winning the majority of them, which was interesting and not what I expected. Volkanovski played range well, even though he doesn't have the range advantage. He played it well and was able to jab the head off of Diego and just outbox him clearly. The first round did exactly that, outboxed Diego Lopez for the majority of it. I thought that one was close, but Alexander clearly had the edge. In every exchange, it seemed like Alexander would hit a couple, like he'd be the first one to hit and then the last one to hit, and Diego was kind of caught like in like a what the fuck situation in the majority of exchanges. Second round though, Diego Lopez, similar way it's going. Alexander's just doing more. Then Diego catches him and drops him. Everybody's like, oh shit, is the chin gone? But no, Volkanovski survives. He recovers. Definitely Diego's round. 100% Diego's round. I know Volk did good in the round, but Diego got a knockdown. You can't just score that for Volk. So Volk goes on to win 3, 4, and 5 by doing exactly the same thing. Just outstriking Diego Lopez on the feet. Being better. Just being better. More active. Landing. And the exchanges, he would, like I said, hit the first and the last, and Diego Lopez seemed lost when it came to the, like, dancing exchanges. Volk looked fucking good. He looked premium. He looked vintage Volk. And he is now the new featherweight champ. And he's probably going to fight Movsar next, and I'm picking Volk clear. He looks just as good as he ever has. He looked ripped, just as more ripped than he ever has. I feel bad for Diego, but Volk clearly won this fight, and he did it in spectacular fashion, and which surprised the fuck out of me, to be honest. So I'm very excited to see what he does next. This is uncharted territory for the UFC, and fans. It's a good thing for fans. So that's about it. That's all, I think. The fight night was pretty good in general. There was some good shit on the prelims, not super good, but Marco Tulio is a monster, and I can't wait to see what he does in the future. But overall, a lot of hype on this card. I'm very hyped for Pimblett, very hyped for Jean. Even like Reyes, I'm super hyped for. Yair's is like whatever. Volk. Thinking back, right when it happened, I was like, oh, this is probably not as good for the UFC having Volk as champ, right? It's kind of holding up everything. You're kind of in the shadow of Ilia now. But when I think about it more, you now have Volk, who's undoubtedly the featherweight GOAT now. Undoubtedly the featherweight GOAT. You have him. You have the uncharted territory of, can he keep it up again? Can he keep going? Can he keep his reign? And then we have an Ilia Topuria coming off a win against Islam. And we have that. That's potential. That would be crazy. There's just a lot we can still do with Volk. And especially with Movsar, that he could potentially fight. Jean Silva coming up. That's also a cool fight if Jean Silva wins a couple more. Or one more. They really like him. There's just a lot we can do with Volk still. And also, Diego losing sets up a cool potential matchup with Yair Rodriguez. And with that being said, Diego's only been fighting in the UFC for 2 years. We have a lot more to see from Diego Lopez. I'm happy Volk won, and in hindsight, I'd say it's equal or more hype that Volk did win for the UFC and for the fans. So, that is all. I will see you soon.